Okay, let's talk about the latest on the case of 6-year-old Noel Rodriguez-Alvarez, the missing Everman boy, because a lot has unfolded this week. This could be a major breakthrough in a case that we've been following for about 3 years. I know a lot of people in the community, they know that little face, they care about little Noel, and people just want justice for this boy. So we did get confirmation today that human remains were found in the backyard of the home where he lived with his family in Everman. So we don't know if those remains are officially identified as Noel. We know that the remains are at the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's office and they're still trying to get an identification. So again, don't know if that is Noel, but we do know that human remains were found. A lot of people are talking online about why are they just now finding this when they looked in that same spot 3 years ago? So the former police chief addressed that in a press conference today and said that 3 years ago they just didn't have the resources that they had now to conduct that big search. And so he says that is the reason they were able to find the remains now. If you remember 3 years ago, there were cadaver dogs in that same area where the remains were found. And at the time, the cadaver dogs were really hitting on that area where a concrete patio had been laid, and this was installed by his mother, Cindy Rodriguez, saying before she fled to India. So she laid that down, fled to India. Now 3 years later, they end up finding remains underneath that we're trying to figure out who they belong to. But we also got something else today that is really interesting. So these are letters from Cindy Rodriguez saying, written to a judge. She wrote these letters in jail. These are dated some in April, some in May. And basically she's trying to argue a case that she is not incompetent, that she is not a psycho. I don't know if you've been following the case, but recently she was deemed incompetent to stand trial. And what they're trying to do now is get her back to competency, get her mental fitness back so that she could go through trial. So right now she is still in jail. They haven't transferred her to a state mental health facility, but just want to read through a few things that she says in these letters. She asks, and these are direct quotes from the letters that I typed out. They're very hard to read. She says, "Why am I being placed in the state hospital? I am not a psycho person. They're treating me very, very bad, and I cried for the pain they're making me go through. I get threats every day. God knows I'm not a bad person." And in a letter she wrote before a court appearance, she said, "It might be the last day of jail for me tomorrow. God will be with me." Some of the letters are kind of hard to read. It kind of points to, if they are saying that she's incompetent, you can kind of see the difference in some of these letters where some are very sloppy and it just seems like she's not really in the right state of mind. And then some are very neat. So I'm not an expert in this. I don't know what this means, but she has been deemed incompetent. Now there are two things that are going to be happening in the next few months. One is trying to get Cindy back to competency, and the other is trying to, one, positively identify those remains, but also, if those remains do end up being Noel, testing them and putting them through forensic tests to try to figure out what may have happened to him. So they would check for broken bones in the neck, to try to determine how he died, if those are his remains. So a lot to keep up with on this case. I've been following it since the beginning, and anything else I learn, I will pass it along here. But look for my report tonight at 10 on WFAA.